Well, we'll start with you then.
Okay.
You're on your sales team. Victory, impending, problems.
So at this point, I would say impending for the simple reason the team had no discipline of making commitments on a Monday morning on what a successful week will look like. So it's now 6 weeks where on Monday, basically in a Google Doc, they have put in what their activities planned is. So then on Friday, they can say, irrespective of outcome, I had a successful week because I did everything planned to do.
Right.
So why has it taken so long? First, my team didn't understand the concept. Then I was like, if you don't plan to accomplish something, how do you know you had it quick?
Right.
So first they acknowledged it, then they got super aggressive. They got 40 hours of activities planned. I said, you don't get interrupted. Nobody calls you.
Right.
Like, when do you take bio breaks?
Right.
So, because the first 3 weeks they were unable to say I'm successful. So I had to basically explain them that keep it real, start with 20 hours and slowly let's work our way towards a 30-hour activity list. If you start with 40, I can tell you right out of the gate, time management doesn't work that way. So now the team has started getting it. Now the next hurdle I learned. So this is a learning part because I've been doing it for a very long time. So I just think it's granted. But now with them, the next part is for them, they don't know how to measure success. So I actually went through the math, saying that if you're just doing so many activities, it's not going to produce the results. So let's stop having a pipe dream on what your commission check will look like because you're not following it through with your activities. So then immediately they went back to 60-hour weekly planning. I said, okay, there's a happy compromise between working hard and working smart.
So you've just gone through the whole list, pretty much, yeah.
So I'm seeing all kind of interesting, I wouldn't say excuses. First, they were not in belief. Hey, how are you doing?
Hey.
You look a lot more stress-free and happy. Did you just close the deal? You genuinely are glowing.
Really?
So did you just close a deal?
Yes.
Okay, that
That's
makes
so
sense.
funny.
That's one more reason why people glow.
Exactly.
How was
It
it?
was good.
All re-energized?
Yes.
Cruise is the best because you have an electronic detox too.
Yes. I was like, no, I'm not buying the internet. I don't want internet.
I didn't want to know.
And like by the time I got back, I was like, I wonder when I'm gonna take my phone off of airplane mode. As soon as you take it off of airplane mode, then you gotta get back, connect, see who called.
So now I'll tell you the secret. Ignore all the emails. If something is important, people will knock on the door.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not important.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it was nice.
Because if you really try to play catch up, it will take you 2 weeks to play catch up.
Yeah, you're right.
We have, oh my gosh, I just went blank. What's her name? Tina today.
Oh, okay.
And we're the only ones here. We're doing role play, so we're just going through our
Oh,
checkbooks, our
Okay.
cookbooks real quick, and then so.
Was there a talk this week? Did she send a text?
No.
Okay. Because there was no electricity.
Yeah.
I was like, oh well.
Did you show up?
No, I was on my way to the cruise.
That's right. Yeah. Good. So
She just sent a text. I was like, okay, well. But I was here on Sunday when the storm came in. I
yeah,
was still
it's
here.
rough.
I heard it was bad. So my ears got really bad.
The weather on the cruise was good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
I mean, we just drove straight through any rain or whatever, you know.
I've never, not to make the conversation about cruise, but I've never been because I have like a fear of being stuck somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, they're going to have to hella flat me out. If I'm ready to leave, I have to be able to leave the boat. So I don't want to be stuck
Well,
somewhere.
this is like the best kind of fear you ever want to have because you like being stuck in that boat. You like cause
It's a 5-star hotel with a lot of food and entertainment. It's not.
Yeah.
This
It's
is the
not
best
like
kind of
stuck
stuck.
in an elevator.
Yeah,
by
no,
any
no,
means.
this is kind of best
You're
kind of
in
stuck.
a very good place, and it's on the house, so you don't. Getting stuck in a way is okay.
It's like the perfect time to get stuck. Perfect, because you don't want to get unstuck. Get back to reality.
It's so neat. I thought about going on it, and you said you're single, aren't you? I thought about going on a singles cruise once, just to jump out there and see, but I'm not that brave.
Yeah.
Dad, I was like, no.
You know, like friends or family. I think that's
Yeah,
you know, a lot of
better.
people were there with family and friends. I was there with my family.
How
And it was a lot of
fun.
fun. There's 20 of
What
us,
memories. 20. Oh my gosh. that's
including my little 6-month-old precious little great niece.
fun. Aw.
Yeah.
And that's why she's glowing.
Yeah. Yes. It was good. I mean, it was really good. I mean, it was 4 nights. Went to Cozumel, went snorkeling. Came back.
Beautiful.
Except you don't want to leave Cozumel. Like, you're only there for 8 hours. So it's like,
Yes.
I want to be there long.
But then I think cruise is about pampering, right? So
Oh, yeah.
you wake up on your leisure, there's food 24/7, you have a choice of whatever you want.
Yeah.
You should market booze.
Right? I
You
know.
got
he's
me
like-
really thinking.
Yeah.
Think about it. Actually, like I hate going on vacation because then usually it's like, oh, let's get up at 6 o'clock. We got to go there. I'm like,
Yes.
I do that for work too. I get up at 6 o'clock
Yeah.
and go somewhere. My vacation means I don't have an agenda.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
nice.
true.
They have live music, food, just whatever you want. Just
Nice.
there for you. Yeah, and then food 24 hours because they have a room service 24/7.
Wow.
Anytime you need something.
I may be booking that soon.
It's worth it. It's actually one of the least expensive ways of having fun too.
Yeah.
Because anywhere you go, you actually blow up a lot more than you think you should.
Oh, yeah. It's so cheap to get to Vegas. And then when you get home, you're like,
You have a credit card racked up.
Yeah, and it's not like I thought I was afraid I was gonna maybe motion sickness or that. Not really. On the way back from Cozumel, I did feel the boat move a little bit more, but not enough for me to do.
nice. Good. You didn't even have to take anything.
And we had a room that had a window, so you can see the water.
Nice.
So you can get a room with no window, so you don't have to see anything. You can forget you're on a boat. You can actually forget you're on a boat.
It's crazy.
You know.
Somebody's trying to chime in. She's like, all right, too. Cool.
So,
Anyway, we were going over his
in terms of impending, the reason is it's a learning curve. And I did bring my team for a camp, like a 2-day boot camp, so they understand the concepts. But applying the concepts is where the interesting part of the game is.
Yeah.
And the second thing is I'm also their boss, so they hide data from me and they tell me an inflated version of it. So it's kind of an interesting thing because I'm having a problem. I'm trying to coach them, and I'm struggling myself because I'm learning it for myself. I'm an engineer by trade, never done sales.
Oh, wow.
Now suddenly I run
And
a
so
business.
Jen,
Wow.
too.
I run a business, and the
Okay,
problems are
okay,
mine
yeah.
to solve.
How are you?
How are we doing?
So that's my story. Your story.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Right now, I guess for pending, I'm waiting on a contract that will get signed today. I'm in staffing, so the contract would be like 30 employees. So that's a good size. For my cookbook, last week I was in red. I had like 3 separate meetings last week that ran a lot longer than expected that I didn't have my time set up for. So that kind of just threw me off, and then just having to do people on top of that, I didn't manage my time good on that one.
So when you plan your calendar, like do you plan your behavior back to back, or do you give every 2 hours you give a half an hour catch up break and then plan
Yeah,
the
so
next
I do sales too. So I like half of my day is like out in the field, and then the other half is in the office. So just I guess the days where I'm gonna have, I don't know, it's just weird for me. If I'm gonna have a meeting, it throws off my cookbook just because after my meeting I have to go into my laptop and put in all my information, create the client file, which takes up a lot of my time. So with that, I don't really know how to work around that because I'm only in the office half the day. But then I don't want to book myself full day because if the meeting doesn't go well, then I don't have to do the back end stuff.
Yeah.
So then when, I don't know, I guess that's
What's
where
your
I'm
plan to
like,
fix?
stuck.
You have a
Yeah,
plan
I'm
to
like,
fix it.
yeah, I'm like trying to see what I can do to make that better because that seems to be like my issue right now. If I have a meeting that day, then when I go back to the office, like it takes away my cold calling time.
Can you alter your cookbook to make the next day heavier since this day you had so many meetings?
Yeah, I mean, I could. Then it also depends like what territory I'm in for the next day.
Would
Yeah,
it
so
help
that's
if
why
you
I'm-
plan like Tuesdays and Thursday are road days and the other 3 are get work days? Does that
Like
work?
in the office, but then see, I don't like being in the office all day.
I
I like doing face to face, like
Haven't-
prospecting too, because cold calling is, I don't know, it's a little bit of a struggle, but I do it. But I don't know.
It's easier for me too.
Yeah, I have to. That's why I'm like, okay, I know half the day I'm like fully focused on doing my cold calls and just little emails.
So how do
here
you
and there.
get over the cold calling? Nobody enjoys doing this. So
Yeah, I
but
know.
you have to do it.
You just the first call. Make
Yeah,
the first call, and it makes the second
yeah.
call easier.
Prep
and the third
myself
call
for the
easier.
first one, and then normally what I do if I'm doing a whole new list of clients, I set that up kind of in the same industry. That way I know what I'm talking about and not just blind people. And then kind of prep myself for the first call, and then I do a certain number, and then I'm like, okay, I can take like a little break and do social selling, which would be on like LinkedIn or whatever. And then I do like 10 or 15 minutes to kind of ease my mind and then go back to calls.
I need
Kinda
some
take
help
my
here
breaks.
because you can give me a
I'm fairly
perspective.
organized.
I see my team struggling with getting over the uncomfortable zone, like getting started with the cold calling. If I tell them too much, it's micromanagement. If I don't tell them, it doesn't get done. If you had a choice of coaching your manager so that he brings the best in you, work still needs to get done. That is
Right.
not getting done is not an option on the plate. What style can I adopt? Because it's nurturing all that I understand. But a problem exists. You
Right.
made a commitment, you're going to make 50 calls today, you didn't do it, and we need to have a tough conversation. How do I, apart from toning myself down, and it's still an uncomfortable
decent.
conversation, and
I have been both managing, and now I'm being managed in sales. And what I found best for me is time blocking. And if my boss knows that first thing in the morning is when I'm not really a morning person, but just to get it over with because it doesn't energize me is the first thing I do. So if he says time block and for an hour, just make your calls, and then I don't care what your schedule looks like the rest of the day. I hated it, but when I started doing it, I was like, okay, I can do this. And then I got it out of the way, and the rest of my day was energized.
so time blocking, like every day between 1 and 3, I'm going to make how many hour calls I can
Yeah,
make.
and it was too exhausting for me. Like Carl suggested, I know you're waiting on us.
No, you're good.
But Carl suggested 2 hours, time blocking 2 hours to make calls, and it drains me. So I sometimes break mine down into 15 minutes, an hour, and 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes at lunch. I break it up because
Okay.
2 hours is too long and too draining.
Yeah,
Okay.
And the rest of the day, you're head trashed.
How many of you really like cold calling? We have a lot of women, so that's why.
None of us.
Anybody?
No.
No, it's like, so here's what I've learned. About 90% women tend to really not like cold calling. Like we're more relational. So over the phone, I have a lot of women that I coach, and they would much rather go to a building and walk from floor to floor and talk to people
Yeah.
and do their cold calling that way than pick up the phone, right? Now, efficiency-wise, from a time perspective, that's not super efficient. However, they feel like they're better at it. Why do you think that is?
Because they're doing something they're comfortable versus.
It is comfortable, but even besides that, why do you think women tend to like it better that way than?
It's hard to say a woman no in front of her. It's
What?
easier to say no on the phone.
Oh, it's harder to say no to a woman in person. I never really thought about it. From the woman's side, I think it's because we're more relational. So when we're seeing somebody face to face, we can read body language. We can pick up on what's going on, right? Now, I've never really thought about it from the other side. If you're talking to me, it might be harder to say no to a woman, right?
No,
But the
guys
re-
find it very hard. I'm just telling you straight out of the gate.
Yeah, But, so there could
You
be.
want to at least have a dignified out.
Yeah.
Your phone is
Right,
free.
yeah. On the phone, I'm not seeing the person, so I can easily,
Yeah.
right? And so one of the things I would say is when you if you have to do a lot of cold calling, I'm going to tell you my own experience. Setting time blocks where they're manageable, okay? 30 minutes is a manageable amount of time. If you already have your list made and you're just having to pick up the phone, the hardest phone call to make is what? The first one. It's the first one. Once you get in the rhythm of it, that 30 minutes goes pretty quick, right? So think of it in time blocks and use 30. I got to a place where 45 minutes, I could manage 45 minutes. Past an hour, it sucks the life out of me.
Yeah, me too.
So let me ask you, if I'm planning to do 100 calls, I might have 5 to 8 conversations.
Yeah.
I might leave, technically
Fair
my
amount of
team's
voicemail.
supposed to leave a lot of voicemails. So when I ask my team, how many calls are you planning? They always give me a beautiful number.
Which is
They
100
started with 300, 400. I said, really?
a day?
Dude? Yeah. And then I was like, I want to know how you do it. Let's do the math. And then I proved them that mathematically you're bullshitting me. And then, so now it's come down where I started doing role play, and then I realized that the
Yeah,
script was not mastered. I told them it's an open book test. Why are you making it difficult? So realistically, what is a fair target?
For cold calling?
Yeah. So should they target making 50 calls a day, thinking they'll have 5 conversations?
Mm-hmm.
And if they have 5 conversations, can we call it a successful day? Do we have to go through the
Yeah. So I just did this work with a sales team. How many calls do you typically make in that 45 minutes? Just out of 30 to 40.
It varies day to day because we sell through channels and so we
Right.
monitor long conversations.
Yeah. So,
So
but just on average, what do you think you actually make?
calls,
Yeah, because she's probably getting more conversion because they sell through channels. So she's calling channel partners, right? They're more likely to pick up the phone and take
Oh, okay.
a call. So just give me an idea.
I think 20, but those can be long conversations.
Right, so 20. So if you're doing pure cold calling, the statistics say you're probably not going to get somebody on the phone, but every 20 to 30 dials.
Wow.
So between 20 and 30 dials before you get someone on the phone. Ideally, if they're using a methodology where they can warm it up either through LinkedIn or email and get, a time frame where somebody's sitting at their desk. But if you think about it, most people are sitting at their desk, you're going to leave a lot of voicemails. So ideally, if you're going to target between 3 and 4 conversations a day, and they're just sitting there pounding the phone, that's probably not accurate. Now, how many dials can you make in a day? Just pure dials. If I have the list in front of me and it's already queued up, you can make a lot of dials. Or if you're using a system where it makes the dials for you, an auto dialer, you can make a lot of dials. If I'm having to do the research and then build the list and all of that kind of stuff, then you have to at least allow yourself an hour to build the list, and then in a given time frame, I would say, because I had to build my own list and come up with who I was going to call every day, I would do usually about $100 a day, 100 dials.
100
Like,
dials.
yeah, but that was like sitting on the phone, pounding the phone, right? Now, today, I don't do 100 dials. I usually plan 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon. And within 30 minutes, I can do 15, 20 dials, just pure dials, as long as my list is made, right? If I'm having to look stuff up, can't even do that. So if your people are just sitting, if the only thing that they can do is on the phone, then 100 just pure dials is probably pretty good, okay? But if they're having, and out of that 100 dials, between 3 and 5 conversations is about average.
Okay.
It's a lot of dials for little conversations. That's why we're seeing more success with people using a LinkedIn strategy with an email strategy with a dial strategy. So they're doing 3 different activities in order to warm up to the dial, right? Yeah,
That's what I do.
but it can be a beater. So call blocking, super duper important on that, okay?
What do you mean by call blocking?
Call blocking, scheduling your time on your calendar.
Oh, okay, blocking your calendar. Okay.
Yeah, so I just did this with a sales team where they set up their own cookbook and they said 40 dials a day and we went to a point system. So 40 dials a day with 50 emails per day. And then I think they had on their cookbook, ask for a referral, because you can ask for a referral from somebody you're talking to, even if they say no, right? I was trying to remember what else, like a referral ask, a conversation. So they did a point system where basically I get so many points when I make the dials, right? I get so many points when I send an email, and then I get so many points when I have a conversation. Even if the conversation doesn't lead into anything, if I'm conducting a conversation, I get so many points. If I book an appointment, I get so many points. And they have demos, so if they book a demo, they get so many points. And when you go to a point system, the one thing that we use a product called Sales Accountability. It's something through Sandler where people can track what they're doing. And when you use something like that, what's really good about it is if, let's say your goal is 100 points per day, then at the end of the day, if I got 100 points, I can feel good about it, even if I didn't get, the results that I want.
Fair enough. So basically, if you have a good amount of conversation, making the dials, I didn't see merit in just doing 100 per day.
Yeah.
Like if you got 6 conversations, you actually had a good day.
Yeah, if you book an appointment, so really what you should be tracking is not just the dials, but how many conversations, and then when I convert the conversation to a meeting or to a demo or whatever it is, that's really the metric you want to look at, is the conversation to booking, because that will tell you how strong is my conversation over the phone. Like in the beginning for me, I would have lots of conversations and didn't book anything, right? Because conducting the conversation was a problem. But then the more I role played the conversation, the easier it became to hold that conversation over the phone. Now my conversion rate from conversation to appointment is like 85%.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Yep. So you have to understand what is it that I'm trying to do with the conversation. So if your conversation needs to lead to a meeting for somebody, then that's what you should be trying. That help? How many of you feel like the uncomfortableness over the phone is really holding you back? Okay, all right. You too? Are you holding your hand, or for your team?
For my team, and my team said, challenged me. I actually did 3 days of cold calling. I put up a brave front, but I hated it. But I put up a front that I was like, it's all head trash.
It's a mental game.
I did it, and I know I was hating myself, but as far as they're concerned, they're like, you're a different name.
Okay, so maybe that's where really we should focus. I was going to have you guys role play like a sales conversation, but maybe what we should do is just really focus in on the conversation on the phone. Would you guys agree? Okay, so how many of you come to the prospecting class?
You mean like?
Yeah. So what do we teach you in the prospecting side? What should we do first? What's the first part of a good prospecting call?
Try to get 30 seconds. First, from 5 seconds, get the permission for 30 seconds and slowly expand the 30 seconds into 5 minutes.
That's exactly right. So it's a pattern interrupt.
30-second commercial.
Right? Then it's our 30-second commercial. If we get permission, right? We're getting permission to do our 30 seconds. And then it's our commercial. and then it's a close for something.
So what's the pattern interrupt? How do you start with pattern interrupt?
Okay, so what are some pattern interrupts we could? Who
I've never
wants to role
started
play
with
me?
any.
What?
I've never
role play?
started with any because mine have recently been in the middle of a conversation.
Your pattern
That's a
interrupts
good
are?
question. I appreciate you asking me that.
That's the reverse. Pattern interrupt is doing and saying something that could, that throws off the pattern, okay? So, Lexi, you want to be my prospect? Okay. So I'm calling you.
I can do it. I
You want to do it?
Oh, we're
Okay,
all
you do
gonna
it. Let me see your pattern interrupt. Okay, turn around. So anytime, okay, let me
I don't like to
set some
turn
stage.
around. I don't
Wait. Before we do anything, so what is the goal of role play? It's practice. What else? So we have some rules around role play since some of you are new to mastery. First of all, what?
Feedback?
Yeah, so the first thing is we need to have fun with it, okay? So it's uncomfortable, we get that, and this is a safe environment. The reason we do it here so that when we go out, we can perform better, right? That's the first thing. So when we do a role play, the first feedback is commends. What did the person do well? And then you only give one recommend, okay? Do you know why?
Beyond
It's
that,
gonna
it's
drain them.
criticizing.
What?
Beyond that, it's supposed to be critical.
It's going to create head trash.
No, not beyond that. I mean,
Head trash.
I remember the first time I role played, somebody was like, that sucked. Like, thanks.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. The reason you only give one is because most people can only really work on one thing, right? And if we're really focused on, hey, I need to improve my pattern interrupt, or I need to improve my inflection of my voice or whatever, we can focus on that. But when we start giving like 3 or 4 or 5 things, your mind starts to go, I don't know where to focus. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're gonna do I just want to hear you role play. Lexi will be your prospect.
And whom am I called? Typically, I call people in IT and sales or marketing.
Sure. So what do you want to be?
What do you
Lexi?
want to be? VP of what?
So.
Sales? Okay. And how do I address you? I'm sorry. In
Lexi.
a moment, I forgot you.
Lexi.
Alexi. Okay. Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hi, is this Alexi?
Yes.
Did I catch you at a bad time?
No.
I'm not even sure whether we should be talking or not. Is it okay if I explain to you why I'm calling and whether
Sure.
Alexi, I have a lot of customers. I'm Venkat Subramanian with Solutions. We have a lot of customers, and I talk to sales, and they've invested a lot into Salesforce for improved forecasting and pipeline generation activities. But they often tell me that despite all the investment they made, they're not able to get the metrics and have a pulse on business. Is there any of those resonate with you by chance?
No, not at this time.
Excellent. In that case, can I just ask you one question before we hang up?
Yeah, sure.
So are you on top of hitting your goals and everything? Because I might have a thing or two to learn from.
Actually, I'm not.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, I haven't been hitting my goals for a while, so
And why do you think that might be?
that's a good question.
Okay, I'm gonna pause. All right. Okay, so what was the pattern interrupt? What did he do that was a pattern interrupt?
Do you have a moment?
Yeah.
Did I catch you at a bad time? Okay, so let's give him feedback. What did you guys think?
I thought it was really good. It was so good. You continued to go in that pain funnel even when
She said
she
no.
was done.
Yeah.
That was really good.
I learned it from the best. Carl told me like that. He said, "Are you sure?" So I have a thing or two to learn from because now he just put me on the pedestal. I don't belong there.
That's funny. That was good, actually. Okay, so he did a pretty good pattern interrupt, and did you resonate with his 30-second commercial? How he? By the way, did he say his name?
No.
When did he say it?
I
After that
started and then I
permission.
rolled back and I said I'm Venkat with Solunas.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
At permission.
yeah, he asked for permission. What else did he do?
So is that what you're supposed to do? 'Cause
Yeah, so, what do you mean?
I'm curious because we role play 3 times a week,
Uh-huh.
roughly an hour a week, an hour a day, and we train each other to right up front immediately say, "Do you have time? Did I catch you at a bad time? This is such and such with such and such." And then
Yeah,
you stop,
yeah,
and then you go into do I have your permission?
right. So everybody's different on this one. And it's really about, like a lot of my people don't give their name and company name right up front. You know why?
I want them to ask, who are you?
It's ask, it can be an ask, but there's another reason.
It's an out for them.
So think of it this way. Most salespeople that are making cold calls, the first thing out of their mouth is they say, "This is Tina and I'm with Trust Point Management." Right? And so when you don't say it up front, a lot of times I'll get interrupted and say, "Now, who are you with?" Like, because I usually give my name. "You don't know me. My name's Tina." And then I'll say, "Have we met?" And they'll go, "I don't know. Have we met?" Like, "Where are you from?" Right? And then that throws off the pattern even more. So pattern interrupt can be you not saying your name, you not saying your company name. It depends on what you're comfortable with. Okay?
So that you don't know me, my name is Tina, is that a pattern interrupt?
So normally what I say is, "Hi, my name is Tina. I'm guessing my name's not familiar." And then they'll
That's
say,
a pattern interrupt.
"Yeah, and they'll go, Tina, 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 Tina. Have we met somewhere?" That's what they'll say. And I'll be like, "I'm going to be up front. I don't know if we have, but your name was on my desk." That's what I use. "Your name was on my desk, so I thought I'd call. Do you have a minute for me to tell you why I reached out? And maybe you can figure out if we should keep talking." And then they'll say, "Yeah, well, so who'd you get my name from?" And I'll just say, "I don't know. It was just sitting here when I got in this morning and said, call you." And then they're like, wondering who gave you my name, right? And usually I just have a list of people. That's what I've done. And just, I'll hand it to Chris and say, "Put this on my desk so I can tell people you put it on my desk to tell them to call me." And they'll be like, "Okay." So does that make sense? It's all a pattern interrupt. And then they go into, "Okay, sure. Who are you with?" And I'll say, "Well, I'm not sure if it's 100% relevant. Let me tell you why I'm reaching out. Then we can figure out whether or not we should talk." And I always end with the word fair. Do you know why?
Permission.
Most people-
Psychologically, my mom taught me to be fair.
I think everyone wants to at least believe they are fair.
They believe, that's right. Psychologically, they want to believe they're fair. So when I say fair, use the word fair, they'll say, "Yeah, that's fair." So then you go into 30 seconds. Now what he did was, what did he do in his 30 seconds? I work with, how did you say it? Say it again.
I work with a lot of head of sales
Yeah.
who invest a lot in Salesforce to address these problems, but
Third parties.
they claim it's still there.
Yeah. They claim there's,
I didn't deliver the pain statements very well. I wrote the playbook, but I haven't
Yeah.
practiced enough.
right.
So
You're
It
about
was-
to see that none of us have.
It was
I
pretty
do it
good.
and a lot. And
It
I
wasn't-
hate it.
But you're right. That's one area, really get your pain bullet. But he told it in a story. I work with a lot of heads of sales, and usually they've implemented Salesforce for these reasons. They're looking for blah, blah, blah. I don't know your pain points.
Yeah.
And then, I like the word, I don't want to presume. Do any of those issues come up in your organization? Because it could be that he's not having a problem, but somebody else may be. So, and if they say no, what did he do?
Ask you. Before
before we hang up, again, I took permission.
Yeah. Can I ask you a quick question before we hang up? And she said yes. And then your question was,
I put her on a pedestal.
yeah,
So if it looks like you're on top of it, I might have a thing or two to
to learn
learn.
from you. Yeah. How are
Now,
you doing that?
That humans are suckers for it. It's just not me. because if you ask somebody that, hey, I look up to you, I want to understand how you do it.
Yeah,
Almost everyone gets a pat on their ego.
it's a stroke.
It's a stroke, huge
Yeah.
stroke.
Yeah.
So now it's almost like it's very difficult for somebody not to take that stroke, because now if you still hang up, like you're enjoying it, why would you want to?
That's right. You were enjoying it.
So this I learned from Dale Carnegie, how to win people. And if you give them a stroke, it's almost you got them.
See, that's where I have trouble. I'm not good.
Okay, somebody joined us, and I know you're not Gina. Can you introduce yourself to the class? He's on mute. Hold on. I think you're on mute. Okay, there you are.
Hello. Wherever the camera is.
Can't hear anybody.
Do we hear him?
Not yet. He went on mute, unmute.
No, I'm here.
There you are.
Okay,
There
can you introduce yourself to the class?
Yeah, it's Paul Cabina from ETech. I've been down to Dallas on Ricky. So I'm going to go participating in these things. My internet connection failed.
Okay, so you're Paul, right?
I am, but I'm signed on as Gina.
Okay, all right, that's what was confusing us. So, welcome, Paul, and we have a couple of things going on. Our regular camera is not working, so that's why we're using this small camera.
Gotcha.
But we are having a small class today because we have a lot of people out, and we're doing some role play. So we want you to be able to participate. Right now, what we're working on is our 30-second commercial. And I don't know, how long have you been with your company?
I've been with my company for about 6 weeks.
6 weeks? And are you doing a lot of cold calling?
I am. I mean, I've got many years of experience. So I've been following a script for the cold calls because I've got a list of cold calls. So I'm jumping between cold calls, warm calls, LinkedIn connections, but I've got a script on the cold call side. You know, it's always, when you're seasoned in a marketplace, you have a tendency to jump back and forth between the two. But the fact of the matter is, cold call scripts are very good for cold calls.
Okay, can you explain that? I may have lost you.
That if nobody's ever talked to me before, there's a reason why you have to be able to be succinct, have a 35 to 40 second call that says this is why we should talk and set up a meeting. When you're in a situation where you actually are in a warm setting where people know you, you can have a little more warm up of, hi, how are you? Bob said to call you. Fred, yeah, great to talk to you. Blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you back into it and say, hey, this is the reason why I'm calling. So there's a little less formality to why are you calling me? Why are you wasting my time? Because you don't have a reference point when you're taking a cold call.
Right, you're interrupting their pattern, so to speak, or their day. So
Yes.
certainly you have less time on a cold call. I would
Right.
agree.
So I've got
Go ahead.
I've got the script that I follow, learning it better, quicker, faster. Still, it's a little rusty for me because it's not saying I don't like cold calls, which I do. I don't mind cold calls, but sometimes I find as though if you go into a script too soon, people have heard that before. So I'm working on that, and that's why I'm part of the class.
Yeah, so a lot of it's timing, right? How we time out what we're going to say and how we say it. So that's very true. Okay, so your own recommend was to know the pain bullets better, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you picked up on?
Like I was not natural and I was not prepared. Usually I keep my laptop on. It's an open book test.
Yeah,
So there's
So you
no
can
reason
see
for
'em.
me to memorize it
right.
because I have different pain bullets but different types.
Okay, all right. Does that not mess you up to be able to look at them and say them at the same time?
It's actually, see, I'm still talking, but then I can just always sneak.
Okay,
in. There's
all
no
right.
reason.
Yeah.
Okay, so that might be what do you say?
I have to have bullet points, but if I have anything more than a bullet point, I'll send scripted.
Okay, so that might be a note to have your pain bullets written out somewhere where you can just glance at them. Okay, so that's good. I also do the same thing, but I just was curious what you.
Because
And then
what I try to tell the head of marketing is not what I tell head of operations. It's
Sure.
not the same. I
Right,
tell
it's not the
head of
same
sales.
pain bullet.
It's still about, hey, are you unhappy with your Salesforce implementation? Is core of
Right,
it.
right.
But what they're expecting out of it is totally different because each one of them is expecting something.
Yeah. Paul, do you do the same thing?
Yeah, three particular industry pain points that say, are these some of the things that's affecting you, right? You hopefully get affirmative on at least one of them.
Yeah. So I like what Paul said, that you have to be concise, and you know, my tendency early on was just to be too talkative, and so that's something that, you know, just to be aware of. You know, how do you be concise? So, all right, who would like to go
So
next?
one question. Was I talking, like, it's supposed to be a 30-70 ratio.
Mhm.
I still felt I was, like, now that I got her to the pain funnel, I would have changed the equation.
Mhm.
But I think, I don't know how to make it any better because I'm doing the talking till they're ready
Yeah.
to talk.
Yeah, think of this way. The third in the prospecting call, there is an unfair, because you called them, you're interrupting, and at first they're not going to talk, right? So you have to, basically it's designed to get them to be talking so that you can go into something.
So I'm following it fine, right? I interpret it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought you did really good. The only suggestion I would make is that before you took her into the pain funnel, is to ask her for permission. Like, boy, it sounds, you said something like, can I ask you a quick question? And she said, sure. And she gave you permission for the question, but then you asked her the question and she was like, well, I'm not really hitting my sales. I'm not really hitting my goals. And you immediately started going into the pain funnel. And I would suggest asking permission right there, like,
Okay.
can we take a minute? Let me ask you a couple of questions about that. And then from here, we can figure out, you know, should we keep talking? Right. Does that make sense? So I would have asked the permission right there.
So I've done it, and usually I lost them because. So here's, I don't know what's the
Okay.
right answer or wrong answer. You're a nice prospect. I wish I had more of that. But because she said no upfront, and I somehow got her back engaged,
Yeah.
she's still not sold on me.
No.
So I can ask permission and hopefully hope she'll say yes. Or when I ask permission again, she might just realize that, oh my God, he's just pulling me down
Maybe
the path.
pulling, yeah. Right.
So I don't know what's the right answer. The book says exactly what you're saying, but then I've also lost a lot of people when I ask the second permission, where they'll be like, not really, actually, I don't make the decisions. I need to go. Bye.
Okay.
I'm like, oops,
Yeah.
I just got you so close.
Right. Yeah. So it's interesting because they say I don't really make the decisions or whatever.
They'll give me some answer
Yeah.
to
So
hang up on me in a dignified way. That's
right. I would say this, that it probably has more to do with your tone
Uh-huh.
than what you're saying.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So anytime that I lose a prospect, it's usually because of my D, and I've started to go in like, hey, let's take 5 minutes and talk about this. And I'm not really keeping them safe to go. So one thing you might want to change is just when you ask for the second permission, maybe go a little bit, not okay, look, I know I've caught you off guard. Do you mind if I ask a couple of questions? And if you say no, it's perfectly okay.
Okay. And like
By the
today in my
way-
role play was any feedback on my tone.
Yeah.
I
I
need to
would,
work on it.
I would say your tone's pretty good, but when you started to go in the pain funnel, you started getting shorter. And I'm that potentially is what it is, right? So think of it this way: we get somebody, and they're like, "Well, yeah, you can ask me that question." It makes us go into, "Okay, I've got somebody." So what I want you to think about is just still keeping that slower pace and keeping your tone really. Hey, I don't want to be presumptuous. Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions about that? And then we can figure out. And my tone goes down quite a bit.
Okay.
I go a little bit deeper, slow.
Yeah, I mean, the recommendation that was made to me, this is Paul, by the way, recommended to me was you ask them, first of all, I don't like making cold calls, you know, and here I am. but honestly, I have to do it. Hopefully you're the right person I should be talking to. Can I take 30 seconds of your time to explain what I do? And let me know if it makes me sense if I'm talking to the right person, or maybe I should be in touch with somebody else. Would that be okay? Can I ask you that? It loosens up the conversation for them to say, I may not be on the phone with this guy for an hour.
Yeah, that's a really good, so we were talking, I think your internet cut off, Paul.
Okay.
Did a role play and
Yes.
it was more towards the end of it, but you're right, that's a really good pattern interrupt. Like maybe really upfront, it's a cold call. I don't like making them.
Right.
Okay.
And the reality is that
Doesn't
one
work
for-
because
That one for me does not work.
yeah, because I tried it, and usually the moment I gave away the word cold call, they were more interested in hanging out.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting. It doesn't work for me. I have a lot of salespeople that I coach on how to do that, and it works for them. So I think sometimes it can be industry and who it is, and I don't know why it doesn't work for me. The pattern interrupt that really works for me is I probably caught you at a bad time. Do you mind if I take a couple seconds, tell you why I'm reaching out?
yeah, the idea is
Wait,
that
but it's not familiar. Yeah.
I found
Those things.
the auto dialers or the cold call lists that you get from third-party sources. It's loaded with people that really are not empowered to buy your services. So I go into it with a kind of a jaded opinion to say if I reach somebody, I want to make sure that I'm not wasting my time because I got bad data.
Sure. Yeah.
That's really the validation. This
Yeah.
is bad data, you know?
Yeah, you're using auto dialer.
I do. And then I think the auto dialer to me is it's a way to make phone calls. I find it not to be a very efficient way to make phone calls because the data itself I find is not as accurate as if I spend ahead of time doing my own data analysis either through LinkedIn or other sources, because at least I know that the people I'm dialing are at least in the ballpark of what I do.
Everybody's different.
He
What?
said he has a script, cold call script. I'd like to hear that.
Paul's? Hey, Paul, do you want to do a role play with us and you
Yeah.
do your 30-second? I'll be your prospect.
Yeah, fine. Greetings. How are you today? I'm Paul Cabina from eTech Services. How are you?
Good.
Good. Thanks for taking my call. The reason why I'm calling, it's a cold call. We specialize in technical and consulting staffing, and I'm hoping I'm talking to the right person. And if I could just take up 30 seconds of your time to explain what I do, and maybe it makes sense for us to be talking, if there might be somebody else to talk to, and we can figure that out right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm the right person. I don't know.
Great. Thank you so much for your time. I'll keep this brief. Obviously, you're a hiring manager, and I call them on all the time, and they run into a lot of problems. These problems I find is finding expert technical talent in this tight labor market. When they do find talent, the consultants, sometimes after they hire them, pack up in the middle of the assignment in a major project and leave for more money. And I've even had some companies tell me that the persons that show up for the first day are not even the person that they interviewed. So are those some of the problems that you might be experiencing or have experienced in some of the hiring that you've done?
Oh, gosh, yeah. I actually had a couple of guys walk out last week.
Okay, so what I'm getting at is I want to tell you why eTech IT Services can be of help to you, and typically managers like you figure that out. We have helped hundreds of clients. They appreciate how eTech's technical bench of 100 plus consulting professionals know what they're doing. We have an extraordinarily good vetting process, ties to the community that helps minimize those problems. And I told you at the beginning of this call, I would keep it brief. And so keeping with that, I want to make a suggestion. Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Okay. I'd like to take a look at our calendars, see if we can get a few minutes on a calendar, maybe 30 minutes or so in the next couple of weeks. Not sure how it's going to work out, what will happen, but we might find there's a real fit and maybe not. That's okay. On the other hand, we might make sense to do business together and see how things go. But either way, I think spending a few minutes together, figuring out something out what might work, makes sense for you. How does next Friday at 3 p.m. sound?
Okay. All right. We're going to pause.
He lost me a long time.
Okay. Tell me. Okay.
A cold call.
So really quickly, what did he do well? His pain bullets? Yeah. His pain bullets are really pretty good.
He asked for
aren't they?
permission.
He asked for permission. Okay. What else? Anything else that you felt like you did well?
His pattern interrupt.
I thought his
And a
pattern
good
was
tone.
pretty good.
Good tonality. Good
I thought
tonality.
his tone was excellent. right? Really smooth
Yeah.
tone, yeah.
I
It was
struggle with
pretty-
that tone.
Pretty, steady, right, on his tone? Okay, so one suggestion on something he could work on.
Yes, please.
I could smell he's doing sales way too early.
It was because of the cold call. I
Yeah.
think that works in your world probably, but like Tina said, I would get hung up on in my world.
And
We can't
me,
Right.
Jeff,
Right.
because he said his company name right at the beginning.
He didn't leave me curious. I was able to make a decision that I didn't want to talk to him too quickly.
Okay,
I feel that if he left me hanging and curious a little longer, I would be more interested in hearing before I.
so maybe taking out his company name in the early part, maybe just saying, my name's Paul and I'm reaching out, something to that effect, okay, without.
So he also made a comment that I talked to hiring managers.
Mhm.
Now, that was again, like, and I knew he's into staffing.
Yeah,
But again, this is, even though I'm a hiring manager and I hire consultants,
Yeah.
I already have relationships in play.
yeah.
So I'm not
Yeah.
entertaining new people. So I made a decision way too soon.
Okay, so changing the title of the person he's talking to, if he's calling a VP of sales, saying, I work with a lot of VPs of sales, or
Sure. Right.
something like that.
So his
Okay.
pain bullets would have resonated with me, but unfortunately, I would have hung up before he got that far.
Okay,
Because, again, the worlds are different, right? So in my world, I only do business with people I know because I feel that if they give me a bad resource, I can call them and say, dude, this guy needs to
Yeah.
be replaced
Right,
tomorrow, and I
right.
expect it to happen. I don't want to have any drama around.
yeah,
And I don't even want to use that many words. So as a cold call, when it came to me trying to say I'm a staffing company, at least as a business owner, I'm like, I already have relationships in place. I can get consultants whenever I need them.
okay, so maybe leaving the staffing company part out. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna give you I think tightening up your 30 seconds, because at the very end, where you started selling e-techie,
Yeah.
you lost me there.
Okay.
Because ideally, I said yes. I go, oh yeah, I had 2 guys walk off the job. So your pain bullet resonated with me, right?
I should have said, tell me more about that.
Yeah, I would have said, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions about what happened last week?
Right.
And then
Yes.
maybe you and I can figure out, should we meet, right?
Right.
So it's a little bit shorter, and then going into, okay, so tell me a little bit about what happened, and then I might ask the question, has that happened often, or is this a one, like,
Yeah, I get your
how
point.
often
Right.
has that happened to you?
Yes.
It's happened a lot,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Right.
And then, what do you think the impact has been to your projects? Well, it's huge, they had specialty expertise.
Yeah.
I'm scrambling to fill the space, and I got this project that needs to be done in 3 weeks.
Right. Right.
Then that's where I would have said, well, based on what I've heard, let me throw out a suggestion to you. Because you went, how's Friday of next week, right? I would say, this is just my standard. Let me throw out a suggestion. And by the way, it works in email, it works over the phone, it works everywhere. When I say, let me throw out a suggestion to you, based on what you just shared with me, are you okay if I throw out a suggestion? What are you going to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Here's my suggestion. I'm not 100% sure I can help at this point, but based on what you've shared with me, my sense is that there might be something I can do for you.
Mhm.
What if you and I got our calendars out, picked a time on the calendar for us to spend more time exploring this issue and maybe some other issues that you might be running into. And then from there, we can figure out, should we continue talking or maybe take a step together? I don't know at this point, but we can figure it out together.
And that's, I think,
Here's the key.
mhm.
What's your thought on that?
No,
What's
my thought is great on that, because here's the reality. When we're working in a training session in a script, there's this false sense of urgency to get through the script. And I think that's where the disconnect is, because I got to get all these words out of this page.
Yeah.
That point when you said, yes, I've had that problem, immediately I should have jumped to the pain point questions. Wow, tell me more about that. I mean, can you be more specific?
Yeah.
It's been a problem for a long time. You start talking about the issue. And at that point, well, as Carl said, you're almost giving them upfront consulting, but you're not, because you're asking more questions than you're giving answers.
Yeah, I would say if somebody hits on a button like, oh my gosh, yeah, I had two guys walk out last week, I would stop it there and just say, do you mind if I ask a couple of questions around that?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit more what's happened.
Right.
But the big thing I would say, Paul, is slow it down a little bit.
Sure.
I know you're in Chicago. People talk faster. We're in Dallas, so we talk a little bit slower. But be cognizant of that. Like if you're calling on the East Coast, you want to speed it up. If you're calling
Oh, yeah, the East Coast, I can't even get. You got to get that fast. They don't have any time out there.
you got 10 seconds. Yeah, right? I called a guy one time. He was like,
Well, second couple
"You
of
got 3 seconds." He literally got 3 seconds. I'm like, not enough time. I've never called back.
Do one click.
Right. So good. That's good, Paul.
I'm working on it. I mean, these sessions are going to help me. This is, this is something I'm committed to. So it's just a matter of making sure that I don't do much talking. I do a lot of listening.
Yeah. Okay. Who wants to go next? All the women. Anybody?
I'll go after the next. I'm trying to send an email and listen at the same time, but I
Lexi,
gotta
you
get this
go.
out.
I'm thinking on.
You want me to go?
Yeah. Melissa can be your prospect.
Uh-huh.
She's safe.
Uh-huh.
She's safe. Now, when you're on the phone, you want to turn around. Do you know why?
You don't want to read body language.
Yeah, you don't want to read body language. You just want to listen to really the tonality.
See, I don't
I'll step out of the room. That'll make you feel more comfortable.
No, it's okay. You can stay there. I'd rather you stay in the room because I need the feedback.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so
It doesn't have to be perfect.
it's just gonna be any.
Well, what do you do? Tell her what you do.
Let's just do the one that I do mostly is I call leads through the Dave Ramsey Smart Investor Program.
That's the one where you said there's other people.
Yeah.
But I will give what she said very serious thought because I've done role plays in my team. Not seeing each other is a big advantage. It's not a disadvantage.
Right.
Because
Well,
when you see
she'll-
body
yeah, she'll
language,
turn
it
around.
actually throws you off.
So
In a
you're
cold
calling
call, you
her
don't
for
want to
what?
be thrown off.
you put in your request. You put in a request to be contacted in regards to your financial needs. Okay. It's some kind of it's just investment. But see, this is different because you're asking me to call.
That's okay.
So
But remember, it's still a cold call because they don't know when you're calling
right.
or how many calls they're going to get. That's the big one.
Okay.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, Melissa.
Yes.
Lexi Navarro. Melissa, I'm calling you on behalf of the office of Ernie Wingard. He's a smart investor with Dave Ramsey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you put in a request. You asked to be contacted in regards to your investing needs.
Yeah, I thought I already talked to someone.
Yeah, I was afraid of that. Well, usually, have you ever done this before?
No.
Okay, usually what happens is when you put in your request, you get at least 5 people. So what number am I?
5.
Wow. Okay. So were you taken care of, or have you talked to anybody? What you just say? Okay, hold on. Let me just go back. You said 5. Okay.
You can, by the way, you can stop. In role play, you can time out, right?
Okay, time out.
Okay, time out.
Time out. 5. Okay. So usually, okay. Well, so I don't suppose you've already talked to somebody and you've already gotten your answers, the answers that you're needing.
I'm still deciding what to do.
I think. How did it go with the last person you talked to?
I guess I was confused after the conversation. Didn't really know how to proceed.
Okay, I see. Well, usually I must have caught you at a bad time.
Yep, okay, do you want to, let's pause, real quick. That's okay, no.
This is usually how our conversations go, by the way. That's why it's a little bit different.
All right, so why do you think the conversation goes that way?
Maybe because I don't have it set. Like I'm learning to get it better, but I don't have it set because I needed to call. I needed to
By
say
the
I must
way-
have called you at a bad time way before.
Yeah, by the way, this could actually be a little bit
Actually,
of fun.
do you want to have something like this written up? Because it actually got me and my team going black belt. It's an open book test.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Like, why are you trying to memorize it when you can actually have a cheat sheet? And this just tells you what you have to do. And we have it right in Salesforce, so depending on which playbook you're picking. But you can just put a Google Doc or a Word doc.
Mhm.
There's no reason it need not be there in front of you.
Well, you're
It
100%
causes me
right.
to-
You should always write out what you're gonna say. So you could have a lot of fun with this, okay? They're gonna get 5 calls. The fact that you said, what number am I? That's a little bit of a pattern interrupt. And
Yeah, I like
and
that.
by the way, I would laugh.
Okay.
And then she says 5, I would go, oh, wow, I probably should have called you yesterday.
Okay.
Like, have fun with your prospect, because when they're like, oh yeah, that was funny, right? Don't take it so seriously. You're like really tense, and I know it's role play,
That's
but,
okay.
but just loosen up and say, because it's a pattern interrupt, oh, probably should have called you yesterday. And they're probably gonna laugh, and then you asked a good question. So if she said 5, I would say something like this. Well, I have no idea if you even want to talk to me. My guess is you may have already made a decision on what you're going to do. And she said, no, I'm really actually confused, right? There's your opportunity. You've got a confused prospect. They don't know what to do. So at that point, I would have said something like, well, since you've already talked to 5 people, does it make sense for me to take a step back, ask you a couple of questions, and then you and I can figure out, should we even meet or continue talking? Because what I don't want to do is have you leave confused. It's your open door. Anybody who's confused, do you get that a lot, by the way? I'm confused?
No.
You don't? Okay. Well, usually what do they say?
They'll usually say, yeah, I already talked to a couple people.
Okay.
If
And
they've
then
already
if
done
they
it.
already talked to a couple people, then what would you say?
Or if they said, okay, this depends on who I'm talking to. Like if they're in Garland, I'm like, well, I just want to let you know our office is in Garland, but that's not a pattern. I usually just say, okay. I mean, I don't know what to say after that, really.
Okay. So let's brainstorm with Lexi. What can we say after if they've talked to a couple people and they're making her sound, it's making it sound like I don't want to talk to you, right? What could you say?
I mean, I kind of like what you said. Like, is it still kind of relevant for us to talk? Or
Are you in a position to make a decision on how you plan to proceed with your money?
Yeah, I would say something like, sounds like you've already made a decision.
Put them on the hook.
Yeah.
Or you could say something like, what don't you like about the people you're dealing with now? So you want to go right for the,
So
obviously you're talking to me now. So what's got you bothered by the people you're talking to now?
I might read their tone and say,
Am I missing? Are they missing something that I can help you with?
yeah, I might go that way depending on their tone. I might say, I could be this is my favorite line. I could be reading into this, but my sense is that maybe you still have questions or maybe you're not sure about moving forward. Am I picking up on that right? And then they'll do what?
They'll give you an answer.
They'll say, oh no, I've already made a decision to go with Joe Blow. Oh, okay, well I totally read that wrong. See how you put it on you, not them?
Right.
And then if they go, no, you're right, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, I would say, well, can we take a step back? Let me ask you a couple questions. At the end of the day, you may get the answer you're looking for and decide to do whatever, or maybe we can figure out, should we keep talking? All I'm trying to do is build a little rapport better than the last guy they talked to. And when I
Yes.
ask for permission, they'll be like, this person sounds different, or she's not being so pushy, or because I don't know who else is calling them.
Right.
I'm going to assume that they're very traditional in nature.
Mm-hmm.
I have one feedback. Because you're selling money and investment. Anyone I will be interested in talking money and investment has to show confidence and authority. It's like I'm not going to go to a surgeon who's showing, I'm like, no, I'll
A
find
backbone.
Yeah.
They have to have a backbone.
Yeah, so you need to, even if you're really good at the script, it shows confidence because there's a thing called halo effect. If you're good at one thing, you assume you're good at another thing.
Mhm.
So it's the same thing like a doctor. You don't want a doctor asking you questions with authority, trying to peel the onion.
Mhm.
You as a financial consultant have to have that confidence, because that confidence, people are too sensitive with their money. Nobody wants to talk about it, and let alone you make decisions to help me make my money better.
Mhm.
So unless you show that confidence and it comes off on the call, I'll be very clear. I'm not like, that's a key ingredient of anyone who is allowed to talk about my money. That's very clear.
The big thing I'm going to share with you is you got to practice this in the mirror. Like, hello, this is Lexi. I'm going to be really upfront with you. I'm probably your 5th call about this, right? Laugh. Or my sense is you've probably gotten other calls about this. And then if they go, well, actually, you're your first. Oh, good. I'm headed, but have a little bit of fun with it. Don't be too serious. What?
Disarmingly honest.
It's disarmingly honest. Yeah. Sounds like I'm late on the draw, right? If I'm the 5th one. If I'm the first one, oh, good. I got ahead of everybody else, right? Because you're probably going to get 5 calls. By the way, when I say that, I'm the expectation is you're saying, oh, and 9 times out of 10, who are the people that they most likely go with? First or last?
Person who makes them feel comfortable typically is the last.
Yes, that's exactly right. So if I'm 5th, that is really good. If I'm first, that's better because I should be able to create value enough for them to stay in the pipeline, right? But he is exactly right. It's confidence. Okay, who wants to go next? We got time for one more. Okay.
I wrote this out, and I sound scripted when I read things, but I've changed up how I normally do it, so I may sound scripted.
Who do you want to be your prospect?
Whoever hasn't gone.
I'll go.
Oh, great, lovely.
Then who is she?
I've never had to turn around.
who are you
before.
I'm the
calling?
nicest person.
So I call on, we sell through channels.
Yeah, I always
furniture
do.
dealers.
Yeah.
So you're
I'm a furniture dealer, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm potentially working on a project.
Yes.
Okay.
Ring ring.
This is Tina.
Oh, that's not intimidating at all. It's you, Tina.
I'm the nicest person on the
Sorry.
role play, by the way. You guys are meaner than I am. Okay.
I haven't even been a prospect. You
I
can't
know.
judge me yet.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
good. You're right, Big Cat. Okay. This is Tina.
Hey, Tina, this is Tabitha. Did I catch you at a bad time?
No, this is a good time.
Great. I'm with MPS. I'm guessing that's not a familiar name to you. Sound
No,
familiar at all?
I don't think I've heard of you guys.
Okay.
Yes.
We are, well, first of all, do you mind if I take 3 to 5 minutes to give you a 30,000 foot view of what we do here to see if this conversation may even be relevant?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Our company, we partner with furniture dealers across the nation who come to us with frustrations in regards to project margins and customizable options, things that they're having difficulties with other acoustical solution companies. I don't want to pretend to know your world. Is that something that you ever have an issue with or may work with?
So you guys are an acoustical company?
Yes.
Okay. All right. MPS. Wow. I thought I knew all the players out there. I guess I don't.
Yeah, we've been around for quite some time. We just had a name change. So you may have heard of
what were
Speech
you
Privacy
before?
Systems.
What was it?
Speech Privacy Systems.
Oh yeah. Now I know you guys.
Yeah, we've been around for some time. And
Okay.
I think we've done a few deals with you, and I'm just looking to see if we can maybe get back in on some projects and close some projects.
Yeah, I actually have a project I'm working on, and what I'm struggling with is the building's kind of a weird. I mean, it's just got some weird stuff going on with the building, and so I have been trying to figure out like what's a good solution. I haven't talked to you guys in a while or seen much about your products, but do you have some new products out on the market?
Yeah, actually, yes, we do. Part of our name changes, we have several different solutions. So it could be that this would be a beneficial call if you have maybe 10, 20 minutes to go over just a short call. We can schedule and follow up and go over what we do and see if it might be something we might be able to help you with.
Yeah, so I'm actually needing to go to a meeting here pretty quickly. Can we schedule another call?
Sure.
Okay,
How about tomorrow? Are you open tomorrow?
okay. I'm gonna time out. Is that
Going
right?
for the throat.
What did you say?
I was going for the throat.
Yeah, you're going through the,
Sure,
Wow.
tomorrow.
so when they say yes, what do you want to do?
He said, okay, seek your permission, find out what do they think about having a time.
Happy to
Open the
schedule a
calendar.
call. This would be my line. Happy to schedule a call. Tell me what your thoughts are on when you wanted to schedule. And if they say tomorrow, you know what I'm going to say? Really appreciate that. I'm going to be really upfront. I'm pretty scheduled out. Like, do you have time maybe at the end of the week?
So I want to
You're more
understand that
accessible.
psyche. Why do
Yeah.
you have to say no to tomorrow? Do you have
Right.
to show
You're
that
busy.
you're
Right.
busy?
Yeah, why?
You don't want to see that you're facing right away.
You're not that hungry.
It speaks to the scarcity mindset that everybody has. And when I believe that you're busy, I am more likely to want to be with you. So it's a little bit like, this is maybe a bad example, but when you go to the bar and the girl has 3 guys around, you're like, wonder what she has and everybody's over there, right? What's going on over there? They want to be in the club. And so when you say, yeah, I can do tomorrow, or you're suggesting tomorrow, that it's like, oh, there must
So
not be that, she must not really be that busy,
Okay.
right? She's
As
trying
a
to
guy,
build
if I
pipeline.
try that, usually I lose the day. When
Okay,
if
so
a
let's
girl's
say-
showing interest
so-
and I don't show time for her.
Okay,
I lose
well,
it.
that's because she's got other people lined up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's different. So here's the thing that I would say, it's a belief issue. It is a belief issue. Now, I'll say, if they say, well, could we do a call tomorrow? I would say, I'm gonna be really upfront. I'm pretty booked tomorrow. Is tomorrow the only time you have? And they'll be like, no, we could do it on Thursday. Oh, now, if they say Thursday and I'm also booked on Thursday, and by the way, why am I booked? Anybody
You're
want to know?
valuable.
What?
You're valuable.
I'm booked because I actually block my time. So I look at my calendar and I'll say something like 3:30 on Thursday. I'm booked there too. Why don't we do this? Let me look at it. If tomorrow's the only time you have, let me see if I can move what I have on the schedule. So even if you're playing with the calendar, I book my time. Usually it could be that that's my prospecting time. I can move that, right? Or if I have something else, I'll say, I'm going to be really upfront. I've got a client there, but let me see if maybe they could move to another slot, right? So then I'll book. Does that make sense? So you don't have to, but playing hard to get creates a subconscious, these people are busy, they must be wanted by other people in the industry, and therefore I want them on my team as well.
So that was my close. Before that, I threw in some new things, so I'd like to hear like.
I thought it was pretty good. Like, we work with other industry. The only thing that I was not clear on, and I asked you, because you haven't had a name change, have you thought about saying MPS? You may have known us as speech privacy.
I do say that.
Okay, all right.
I
Because
wanted to make them curious though, so I left it out.
you totally did. I was like, MPS. I thought I knew all
Even
the
you
players.
weren't aware,
Right?
yeah.
Like, who is that? What was the new thing that you put in there?
That I switched that up. I just gave just my first name, and then said, "Is this a bad time?" Typically, I spill it all. This is Tap the Rangel Speech Privacy Systems. So I broke that up. This is Tap the Did I Catch You at a Bad Time?
I thought that was really good, actually.
The company that I'm with. Does that sound familiar to you? I threw that in there. I'm guessing that doesn't sound familiar to you. I've never been assumptive like that right up front.
Yeah.
So I was assumptive up front.
Yeah, I like that too. I'm guessing that's not familiar.
And then
I
30,000 foot.
think I like the 30,000 foot view, and I thought what I really liked was that you broke it up, and you had some pauses in there. So one of the things that data will tell us is that when you pause in a 30-second commercial, it gives you credibility. It doesn't sound so scripted, right? So
rushed.
or rushed. Yeah.
I've had to be trained to do that.
Yeah. So that was really good. Towards the end, you sped up.
I got happy ears because you were interested.
Right.
So
My
this is
tonality
one of
went
those
up,
head
too.
trash, right? Cold calling. While on one side you're excited, they said hello. The other side you're still in a hurry to hang up because you're also not enjoying it. How do you get rid of that?
I just want to book the appointment and move on.
Yeah, it's almost like that. Like I'm
got
honest, I
somebody.
felt it
I
myself.
made 50 dials. I got somebody on the phone, and now I want to get them off.
Yeah,
Right?
so
Yeah.
I couldn't understand that thinking because when I did it for 3 days, I'm like, when I'm in a hurry, like I've been trying to get somebody on a call and now I'm in a hurry to hang up. Why am I playing my own mind games at this
Yeah. So what's actually going on with you guys when you do that? I think it's an energy thing. So here's the thing that I would say is what really helped me, because I used to sit at my desk and do these dials.
Stand up.
And it was like all the energy would come out on the call. When I got something on the phone, I was like, you know, sound like ball. It was terrible. And by the way, I had Carl as a coach. So what would he do when he was on my call? Calls, right?
Wow.
It was miserable. I'm surprised I'm still in this business. What?
That's why you're still in. You made it through call.
Yeah, I mean, girl. So here's what I started doing, because there were two things for me. First, I sat next to Carl, so I'd hear him on the phone, and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, he's been doing this for 15 years." So yeah. The second thing is I started actually getting up and walking down here, and I would get on a call, and I would pace back and forth, and it helped me because I was letting my energy out through movement versus the speed of because it was interesting because if I walked, I slowed down my rate of speech.
I have a question I have to throw in because I know we have a short time, but I noticed you did it, and I have a big problem with it. I get caught all the time, and I'm aware of it, but I still do it. It's our filler words. So you said MPS, yeah, okay. Oh yeah, speech privacy systems, yeah. So my filler word is great.
Yeah.
Or so what we do is,
So,
or great. I have too many filler words, and the guys that I'm usually here with that have been in Sandler longer than I have always said, just pause, don't say anything. So what can you do in place of those filler words without just pausing all the time?
Take a breath.
Let me ask a question. Is filler word bad? Because
No.
there is a part of it called naturalization. When you fill that, it looks natural too. Because otherwise it looks scripted.
Now
Yeah.
you're messing me up.
No, I'm asking if you because I'm seeing benefits in both
Okay.
sides.
It depends on how many filler words. So for example, when I'm teaching, I use so as a filler word, right? Or a transition word. So for me is a transition word when I'm transitioning a thought. And I used to tell people, okay, if I use the word so, I owe you $1, right? And then I realized, well, at times it makes sense to use a filler word, right? I think you have to get into the rhythm of what you're doing and decide where does it make sense. If you're using so with a pause, it's going to sound more natural because you talk like that, right? So take the pressure off of you and say, if I'm talking like I normally talk, then it's going to sound more natural. And I do want to use pauses because then that helps them down.
So after
I have found that for me, if I do some deep breathing before I get on the, okay, you probably don't want to do it, but it's a game changer. If you do, you know what I mean by deep breathing? What's deep breathing? Okay, so I do a 4-4-6 count. So here's the 4 count. 4 count, deep, you're breathing in, okay? Hold it for 4 and then out for 6.
Have you done art of living?
What?
Have you done art of living?
No. Okay. Didn't know what that was.
Read them.
But 4-4-6, if you do that, and you do it before you make calls, it literally
Decompress.
releases the energy. Yeah. And you'll find that you're more natural. Okay.
So
All right. So
maybe so.
So
what?
on the head thread, the last question I have
Yeah.
a question.
Head trash.
So I'm kind of enjoying it kind of thing because now I understand the concept of head trash. Earlier I used to feel people are like, now my team is coming up with one head trash after the other.
Yeah.
And I'm actually amazed at the amount of. So finally, I put a girl in my team on PIP because 14 months she has generated one lead.
Oh, yeah.
And I just told her, it's not working for me as a business owner. I want to help you. But every time I come back to you with an answer, you have 5 more reasons why it won't work. I'm like, if it's not going to work and you cannot make it happen, how are we going to make our employment work?
Okay, here's, you guys, a couple of you saw this a couple of weeks ago when I did this, but here's your formula for getting rid of head trash.
Because I feel that they're putting me in a rescue zone.
Not just journal. Yeah. No, hold on a second. No, this is actually the way you can coach yourself, or you can coach someone else. So for Melissa, if it's somebody on your team and they're having some piece of head trash, this is a way you can actually do this. Not kidding you. And it works. And you know why I know it works? What?
You didn't?
I do it all the time, but when I can use a formula on another Sandler person and it works, it works,
Okay.
right? How do I do it? Okay, first thing is you identify the behavior. Okay, so head trash, that's a you. If the head trash is not causing you to have a bad behavior, then it's probably
always
not the thing
is,
you need to work
isn't
on.
it?
What?
It is, always, isn't it?
I don't know, is it?
Or it
No,
causes
no.
me to have a bad attitude, which causes my behavior.
Okay, so hold on a second. I want you to identify the behavior that it's causing. So, for example, if my head trash is everybody in Dallas is a bad driver, okay? And I get out on the road, but it doesn't cause me to be an aggressive driver, then the head trash probably isn't doing anything, right? So you want to identify the behavior that it's causing. So if this behavior is, I don't like to make dials. Nobody ever answers the phone, so therefore I don't want to do dials. Let's just use that one. So the behavior is I'm not doing dials because I don't believe anybody will answer the phone, right? So what's the trigger?
The head trash,
The trigger is the head trash?
the activity.
The trigger is the lack of commitment to the activity. They're not doing it. They're not doing, like even cold calling. If
Right.
you go it as a game with the intention to score meetings
Yeah.
and you keep tally, you can
Right.
actually enjoy a win.
You can gamify it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But
Okay.
if you feel that it does not work, your belief system sucks. You're not believing that you're going to produce the meeting to start with.
Right, you're
So the
thinking,
behavior is I'm not doing it. The trigger is a belief, right?
right,
Yeah.
I believe.
Okay, so
Like,
belief.
can I succeed? Like immediately I said that when you do cold calling, do you believe that you're going to score 5
Okay,
meetings today?
so here,
And the real answer is they don't believe they'll
So
score a
the
meeting.
belief is something. So now we have to uncover what is the belief that's supporting that behavior and trigger. The belief is, it could be a couple of different things. It could be, I don't really like the phone because my parents taught me not to answer the phone. By the way, this is a real thing. I had a client who, what?
Sorry to keep interrupting you, but rejection.
Yeah, I had a client who basically said my parents would never let me be on the phone. Like the phone was off limits. So her belief is the phone is bad because my parents taught me not to answer or not to be on the phone, right? So whatever the belief is, you got to uncover the belief. Now you have to create a new belief. And a new belief is what? Let's just take this person. So we created a new belief that, hey, my parents didn't want me to be on the phone because there were some things going on and they just didn't want me to be exposed to that. Okay, fine. But that was when I was 5 or 10 or whatever. Today I'm 30 and the phone is my friend, right? So you create a new belief around what it is you're trying to do. So new belief, then you identify what is the technique that I can use to to enforce the new belief. So you said journaling, it could be accountability, it could be a lot of different things. It could be breathing, it could be, you just have to identify what are the techniques that I need to use in order to reinforce the new belief.
I have a Post-it note next to my phone that says I cannot lose what I don't already have.
Yeah, so that's a new belief. I can't lose what I don't already have. That's a new belief. What technique do you use?
Pick up the phone.
Pick up the phone, or you use the phone, right?
Right.
I use a 30-second commercial. You can identify lots of techniques. Then you write the script. So what's the script I'm going to use to reinforce this new belief? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And then it's literally practice. You have to practice the new belief, and you're exactly right. If I'm not committed to changing the old belief, I won't do any of this.
So for a person, now here's the tricky part, maybe I need to change the structure. They know that I also control whether they stay employed or not. So they're not willing to be very vulnerable.
Yeah. Right.
And now, if somebody opens up with a relief, I can actually intellectually take them through this.
Process. Right.
But then they're not telling me the truth. And it takes 6, 7 failed attempts before I'm like,
So
what
here's
is
the
this?
question. How do they feel about being in a place where they've only booked one deal in 2 months?
Yeah.
So when I put her on PIP, I said, you can leave today, I'll give you 1 month severance, or
And
what do
she
you want to
said-
do? It's not working.
Yeah. So
So she's like, I don't want to walk out as a failure. I said, okay, what do you have in mind? And then she said, give me these 30 days, I will score a few meetings. I said, I will say sorry at the end of the day. We shook hands. But it's still like, now that I put it, now she's making 100 calls. I'm like, what? Now she's opened up a lot more.
right.
But then before I put her in PIP, it was always, let's do this. This is the reason it doesn't work. Like, it was a dance around in circles.
Conviction. So those commitment, consistency, conviction.
I think that conviction was missing. They were just doing
But
enough
she wasn't
prospecting
doing
that the
enough
results are not coming.
yeah, she doesn't have enough consistency to get the conviction. Commitment, consistency, conviction. If you can't, by the way, this has to be there for this to work as well. I have to commit that I want to change my beliefs in order to make this process work.
It's going to be in my picture.
Oh, sorry.
I think it comes down to the reality of any salesperson's first person responsibility to show up to their office every day to do the work they do.
Absolutely.
If you don't believe in what you're doing wholeheartedly, you are going to be like all the other guys.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to jumping into the role of that I got the best thing going here and you're going to want to be part of it.
Well, it's a belief in not just your product, but your belief in, I believe I could go into any industry and be successful and sell. You know why?
Because
She had dealt with Carl.
Well, yeah. Besides that, I believe that because I've done the work to say, look, I've got a system. I know how this works. I may have to change some things about the way I was doing it because it's a new industry and I've got a lot to learn. But the reality is if you have a system, it's easier. So
Especially with abstract services.
it really does come down to belief. I was talking to a sales guy earlier today, and then we'll get out because we're late. But he said to me, he goes, salespeople only work 50% of the time anyway. And he's a sales guy. And I said, isn't that funny? He goes, yeah, they only think they work 100% of the time. And he said, but the reality is that 50% that you're working, you better be just, you better be hammering it hard. And you know what he said to me? He goes, what I realized is I can work 50% of the time because I actually have a process and I have the belief that people should be paying me more money. He sold a $2 million deal and he was 40% higher than the other 3 bidders that came in. Do you know why? And they chose him. Do you know why?
Because they believe that they're going to get
He
an end
believe that I'm adding so much value to this project. There's what, and you know how he did it? He literally said, the guy called him and said, you know, we had 4 other people who bid this. You're number 5. You're $500,000 over budget. And you know what he said to him?
You get what you pay for.
No, he said, sounds like you probably need to go with the other guys.
There you go.
Go for the no.
And he goes, well, we don't want to. We want you. And he goes, I don't understand. Why would you, if we're $500,000, and he goes, why do you think we're $500,000 over? And he's like, man, can you just give me something on this? And he goes, what are you looking for? He goes, well, we've changed some stuff, whatever. He's like, send me what you have. So they added it all up, like there was a bunch of stuff that got changed. And out of the savings, there was only $16,000 on a $2 million project that they could take out. And so he called him up and he was like, I'm going to be really upfront with you. That $500,000, that's pretty accurate. The only thing we can come up with is about $20,000, give or take. The guy's like, you mean I'm only going to get 0.001% discount on this deal? And he's like, yeah. Is it over? And he's like, no, send me the paperwork. I'll sign it.
Right. That's, you know what? But that's very important because in the staffing business, it happens to us all the time, that you need to be firm in your pricing up front because they'll come back to you every single time.
That's exactly right. And by the way,
Integrity at that point.
his team wanted to reduce it, and he said, absolutely not.
No way.
We have a good margin on this, and the reason we're higher is because we actually ask the questions. We understand the process, and that's what the guy told him. He said, you know why we decided to go with you guys? Because we had a feeling you took more time to actually discover what we needed, and we believe that you understand the project better. And by the way, it's belief. It is your belief that drives your success.
Anybody can sell the lowest price.
That's right. Anybody can sell low bid.
So usually in qualification, I'm in software, and there's always cutthroat competition, and eventually they can hire people and do it themselves for cheaper.
Yeah.
So right in the qualification, I asked them, what is your decision-making criteria? Are you going to pick the lowest vendor? Because most of the customers don't pick me because I'm lowest in price.
Mm-hmm.
They pick me because I believe that I'm successful only if you call me for the next project.
Okay, this is what I want you to change. I want you to change. People typically don't pick me if they want to go with lowest price. But why do you think people pick me?
Also, I should ask them the question.
Yes.
Because
Turn it into a question. You know why? Because they might say, well, I don't know, Venkat. And then you could say, but now that you're thinking about it, why do you think people pay us?
there's
And then they're
lower
going to say, well, you guys get the job done, or you're better at what you do. Whatever they say, just say, that's right. That's right. But it sounds like that's not important.
Because like right now I boast my CSAT is 9.61 out of 10.
Yeah,
And my customers sing like canaries from. So
right. But you should be getting referrals.
they do. So I made some
This
good
was the
videos.
best class ever. Thank you, Tina.
Yeah.
Thank you. Melissa, come up.
I'm gonna
I
use
know,
this
I
on my
have all
role
my
play
stuff
tomorrow.
written down.
See you later, Paul.
Hey,
Next
thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Fine.
Well, I remember you said you